The era of the Third Doctor is wholly unique, especially in tone, as the first half of the series sees the Doctor stuck on Earth, working for UNIT, and almost has the feel of a James Bond film. This is the era of John Pertwee and the first on-screen master, Roger Delgado. The entire dynamic between these characters feels almost identical to that of Bond and Blofeld. Now, this story, Terror of the Autons, is the best example of the Master's relationship with the Doctor. It is also the very first. The start of the story has the Master arriving in the middle of a circus in a campervan-shaped TARDIS, and almost instantly goes and hypnotizes the owner into helping him steal a UNIT artifact from the very first episode with the Third Doctor. This leads into the Doctor's first meeting with Jo Grant, an event which does very little to get Jo in the Doctor's good graces as she instantly ruins one of his experiments. They argue until Jo tells the Doctor about the theft. Such a weird thing to put on display, that Nestine polyhedron thing. It's very strange. I'm calling it a polyhedron, but it just kind of looks like a blob. As a display of how nasty the Master is, he's shown taking over a satellite station and murdering the assistant, who incidentally has the bizarre name of Gooch. They bring up his name a lot. Gooch. Anyway, moving on. The Professor is then taken by the Master as his slave and vanishes. The best scene in the story comes with the Brigadier forcing the Doctor to tell Jo personally that he doesn't want her as an assistant. And this happens.
Well, I don't... This is a bit difficult for me to say, but... Thank you, Jo. I can see you're going to be of great help to me.
Thank you, Doctor.
The look the Doctor gives the Brigadier afterwards could stun a horse. Bessie, you magnificent vehicle. Almost a rival for the TARDIS itself. The Doctor having to talk to a Time Lord who seems to be half-assing blending. Yeah, look at that bowler hat. This Time Lord then warns him about the Master. A warning paired with a casual insult about the Doctor's degree.
He's an unimaginative plodder.
His degree in cosmic science was of a higher class than yours?
Yes, well, I was a late developer.
He also warns the Doctor about a door trap before just ghosting him, just leaving, vanishing. The Doctor groans and does what can only be called a flying leap for a bomb on the end of a string. Then the Doctor finds Gooch, shrunken in his own lunchbox. So, they all return to Unit HQ, and the Brigadier gives everyone a brief about finding a plastic factory, as that's what's needed for the Nestines to build new bodies. Jo goes off basically on her own to spy, and that goes exactly as well as you'd expect, and leads the Master hypnotizing her and simply asking her for any information he needs. He then sends her off back to Unit. We then get a setup about the factory owner's father coming. This weird fucking desk punch thing, and a good, new, creepy-ass design for the Autons. Design which, in my humble opinion, I think works extremely well, as it basically removes all recognizably human aspects from the design, and I think it holds up, helps the production value immensely. It brings it to, I would argue, better than the current crop of them. So it ends with Jo obsessively trying to open this case, this bomb. The next episode picks up with the Doctor throwing the bomb casually out of a nearby window and saving everyone. This also shows the 70s Doctor Who love of making things go boom. This is then followed by a rapid explanation of how the Master's hypnosis works, leading to a scene that can only be described as murder with a plastic inflatable chair. I do love seeing hints of the softer Doctors in 3, like when he reassures Jo that she's safe from the Master. The owner's reaction to the death of his business partner is as uncaring as the Master's. It's also interesting to see a human who can resist the power of the Master's personality. And the Master's setup with a goblin-looking doll is fairly vicious, especially with how aggressively he goes about doing it. I love that the Doctor forgives Jo basically instantly. When she tries to apologise, he brushes it off as entirely not her fault. They get information on the missing professor at the circus, and the Doctor goes off to investigate. Now, look at Jo's smile. What does that smile tell you? She's already gone off after the Doctor, followed by this scene, showing off this creepy-looking goblin doll. I guess, coming to life in the heat of the car. It's a short scene, just kind of showing how this fucking doll thing works. The father has a short conversation with his wife, who then places the ugly ass doll on a radiator. The doll comes to life in short order and kills the husband. And then the wife's reaction is so weird. The doctor goes to the circus and surprise, surprise, is captured basically instantly. Fortunately, he was followed by Joe, who reports the doctor's capture to the Brigadier before instantly ignoring everything the Brigadier is saying, and does this. Joe is such a beast. Look at how she smashes this guy's head in. Joe saves the doctor, leading to the discovery of the missing professor, who the doctor talks out of blowing them all up. Just about. An action followed up by the doctor stealing a piece of the master's TARDIS and getting smacked upside the head before he can talk the crowd out of violence. They're then instantly taken by some really sus-looking dudes in a black car, just missing the Brigadier. 3 guesses as to what the hell these drivers are. Yeah, fairly obvious. Autons, at least for the reveal, leading to this action scene. This holds a tenseness that 3 had for almost his entire run. A tenseness that holds even when the Brigadier shows up to finally save the Doctor and Joe, it still ends in them running away. And then in the debrief, the Doctor shows the Bond influence of the era quite strongly, or at least the influence of Bond on his character, by just kind of being utterly dismissive and disinterested in the entire affair afterwards and any of the intelligence. Look at these creepy bastards. Look at them, man. Those heads. Ugh. I love the scene with the Doctor and the pompous-ass government official, shutting him down and forcing cooperation with a few casual words by his friend, Tubby. A line I Google that every time I rewatch this episode. This scene with the telephone is random as hell, till the later reveal, but do keep it in mind. And so the Doctor and Joe meet the wife and find the murder doll, which the Doctor promptly cuts open and finds nothing but plastic. Then there's this reveal. It was the Master putting the telephone in. That flying kick to close the door on the Auton when they find it is so good. Look at this. Look at it. That's some skills right there, man. The Doctor returns to Unit HQ armed with a plastic daffodil discovered within the plastic factory. He is then called upon by the Master, who attempts to kill him with, shall we say, a phone snake, which does wrap around him in some awfully dated effects. Followed by this odd anticlimax with the Brigadier just unplugging the phone, leading to the Doctor discovering how the weaponized plastic daffodils work. And they arm a time bomb with the mention of an airstrike. An important aside. The Doctor and Joe quickly discover that the flowers respond to shortwave radio signals, and Joe is sprayed in the face with a plastic mask that instantly starts suffocating her. It looks like the Doctor saves Joe with what I'm convinced is WD-40, man. WD-40. I love this confrontation with the Master. It just works so well. This is partially just Roger Delgado doing his thing, and partially the chemistry between him and John Pertwee's the Doctor. While the later Masters and Doctors have tried to get this chemistry, I don't think they ever quite have. The closest I'd say they've come is Missy and the 12th Doctor. The intensity of the scene is interrupted by Joe and leads to the Master taking the Doctor and Joe to the coach and holding them as prisoners in so-called flesh shields. The owner's son finally shakes the Master's control, leading to him trying to take control of the van, leading to this odd escape attempt and kind of crash. The battle that follows is as explosive as any of this era. Though as all good episodes of Doctor Who, it ends with the Doctor talking somebody into helping him, in this case the Master, send the Nestines back where they came from. The Master sends out the owner's son in a really, really good Master mask. When he tries to shoot someone, or at least looks like he's going to, he's instantly gunned down and the Doctor removes the mask, having an oddly smug look about it as the Master escapes, driving off into the sunset. The episode ends with the Doctor declaring,
As a matter of fact, Joe, I'm rather looking forward to it.
Terror of the Autons is potentially one of my favourite serials from the Third Doctor's era, given that it's the introduction of the Master, a long-standing character who is well loved by most of the Doctor Who community, up until today, but we're not going to talk about that now. And it just has such a good vibe to it and builds on the suspense of Doctor Who that built it into what it is today. Now, I'm going to do a series on classic Doctor Who episodes or serials and reviewing them. So if you have any suggestions, please put it in the comments below. I would love to hear what anyone would like me to hear my thoughts on. And please like, subscribe, and comment below. You know, the usual YouTube shebang.